Hello, world, and welcome to another episode of Straight Talk, No BS. You know, we're here to give it to you real, raw, with no bullshit.
I am Landria, the
And
co-host of Straight Talk, No BS.
yes, and it's your girl, Chris, the other co host.
And today we have Tarika Dillis, a very dear friend of mine. I absolutely love and adore her. We've been friends 20 plus years.
Girl, it's been like 30 years, sweetheart.
No. We can't let people know our ages, please. You didn't pick up on that one? 20 plus years. And, and today we're going to talk about narcissist relationships. And Tarika has been a dear friend of mine, and I want to tell you thank you so much for allowing Crystal and I to have this platform or provide you this platform to share your testimony, your story. May is mental health awareness. And for the month of May, we've been talking about domestic violence and relationships, dealing with a narcissist, being involved in a narcissist relationship. So with that being the case, I'm opening the floor to you for you to share your story, your testimony.
Okay, goodness. Where do I even begin? I have heard that word narcissist and narcissistic personalities, but I never really questioned what it is, It never really affected me in any way of my life. I was married for a long time. I was in a long-term relationship with my husband, 25 years. We have 4 children. So I was with him from 17. As Landria would tell you, I was just, everything was him. And he was the sweetest man. He passed away. It'll be 5 years in May. So after being in such a long relationship with someone and then turning around and coming into the dating scene, it was a very huge shock because times have changed. Things are not what they used to be. And the mental mindset of today's generation and trying to date in today's world, it's just wow. So of course I'm ill prepared because this is very new for me. So I had a few casual hookups and whatever. It wasn't that much because quite frankly, I wasn't ready to invest into anything long term after going through losing, my children's dad and just trying to survive from there, So I met this gentleman on Facebook. Dear Lord, Facebook, I tell you.
Yes.
And he was extremely charming. And me, I'm talking. I'm a talker. Landria would tell you I'm flirty. I'm talky. I'm a lot of fun, and I just because
personality, yes,
not my genetic makeup to do no harm, but I'm also very trusting. Something that I have learned over the years not to be after being in this relationship. It was a shock to my system. Now, it moved fast, and that's a red flag for me for now. Like right now, anything that comes at me at warp speed, I'm like, whoa, pump your brakes, because this was fast. I actually met him online in June. He it was a whirlwind, and it was something he did. Looking back, as we all know, hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
He said, I love you really fast. And for me, I was flattered. I'm gonna be real. I was really flattered by that. I was like, oh, that's different. I've never really had somebody come straight out. After about 6 months, I was kind of like, he says, I love you like every day. No joke. Every day he says it. Now, my husband and I have been together 25 years. We were together 5 years before he told me. We had 5 years in and 2 children, and he had never said those words. Oh. So, yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. And it was like, it was new. It was new and it was shiny. And I'm like flattered. Oh, wow, he's a affectionate man and he wants to do this quickly. And then red flag number 2 is he cheated. Not even 3 months in. And this was, no, because it moved fast. Let me tell you, I'm the type of person, I'm extremely forgiving. And that to a narcissist is, it's a license that they can do whatever they want. They do not, like, say, Landria, say you and I get into an argument or a disagreement and we fall out.
Right.
It's my fault, right? Now, if I come to you and I tell you I'm sorry and I apologize and you choose to forgive me, I would use, even if it was the roles were reversed and you were the one that apologized and I forgive you, your initial desire is to change that behavior, right? You're not going to do it again. But for a narcissist, that's license to keep doing it. They don't look at forgiveness and second chances as an opportunity to change their behavior or to modify their thinking. They use that as an opportunity to
green light.
Be sneakier with you.
Green light. They have the green light to go.
It is definitely a green light to run roughshod over you and drag you behind the bus type of thing. It is not a, oh, she's giving me a second chance, let me check myself. This is, oh, she wants more of what I'm about to bring her.
Correct.
So when I forgave him the first time, and the reason why I want you to understand, for me, it happened really fast and we got into a relationship really fast, and I lived in St. David's and he lived in Somerset. So for me, I was just like, well, maybe the girl was geographically, correct at a time when he wanted something, or maybe he was still in something that we got together and he was cutting it off. You don't really know. So I was just kind of like, okay, that type of behavior I don't appreciate. And I do understand that, we got into this relationship really fast. So I'm going to give you a get out of jail free card. Okay. So he was so appreciative and I'll never do it again. And all of the flowers and the apologies and when I say love bombing, it was overwhelming, the love bombing. Okay. And then I'm very entrepreneurial. So I've written a few business plans and financial plans. So he jumped on that as well. Whereas he was like, oh, we could do this. I work out of Dockyard. I have a minibus license and this is what I do. And I'm thinking to myself, that can actually add to my business plan that I was working on, because I was talking about excursions, Bermuda, excursions, BDA. I've shared you, Land. You know about the different things that I was looking to launch, and it kind of like, and I was very open to being in business together. And then he asked me to marry him, and then I was just like, okay, well, sure. And then he was just like, okay, well, we can't live in St. David's, so I moved to Somerset. Dear Lord. But I say I uprooted my whole life in St. David's and I moved west with my girls, who were not happy about it, to be honest. They were not happy. They are happy now. They love Somerset and they enjoy being up here. But at the time, it really wasn't. And I was looking for a new start myself. My husband was gone. And we had lived in that house together for 20 years. And it was just time for a new start, So I used this definitely as an opportunity to be able to, start something fresh and new, turn over, start, just begin again, reinvent yourself, So packed up after Christmas and moved up January 2019. And the girls, after everything was settled, and my son was moving in with his fiance, because he had put his life on hold for 3 years after his father died. And I couldn't expect for him to keep looking after me. You know what I mean? It was time for him to move forward with his life. So I moved to Somerset and I moved in with him. And dear Lord, it began like One morning, one thing I noticed little kinks and little things that you may not think is relevant, but I notice everything. So when your behavior changes, I notice. I may not say nothing, but I do take stock in it. So one morning he got his phone went off. Usually he don't really fuss with his phone, and he gave me the password because he was just like, "Oh, we're a family, we're in love. Blah, 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 blah. You can have the password, and to anything. My life's an open book to you. Blah blah blah." Okay, fine. So the phone goes off, and we were both awake. It had to be about 6 o'clock in the morning, and his phone goes off. Usually he'll just look at it and put it back on the bed, but this morning he just happened to look at it, put it down. He went to the bathroom, then he came back, took his phone, put it in his pocket, took his pens and put it over by the dresser. And I was just like, huh, okay, that's new. So I was just like, oh, really? So let's see who texted you. So I then looked at his phone, and it was some girl named Cheryl who said he made her feel like a virgin again.
Ooh.
And
wow,
never called her again. So I was just like, you gotta be kidding. So I went from 0 to prison real fast. So I took the phone and I went in the bathroom and I looked at him and I said, "So who's Cheryl?" Girl. Oh, my girl. The reaction, he spun around and he was like, "Shh, no, don't say nothing. I'm sorry. I said, "Who the bleepity bleep is Cheryl?" He said, "Keep your voice. I don't want the girls to," because he really cared about how my girls viewed him. So it was just like, please don't, the girls. I don't want to wake up the girls, and I'm so sorry. I said, "Well, tell me who Cheryl is." So Cheryl was some random girl he had met at the bus stop, and he took it on Whale Bay and screwed in the trees. So yeah. That's
was this situation here after the first time he had cheated, or was this the first time here, the first incident?
This was after. This was when I moved everything Somerset, and I was trapped in this house with this man.
So after you forgave him already the first time?
Yep. Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like, oh dear God, what have I done? Because this is the second time round. Wow. This one, the performance for this one was absolutely fantastic. This was crying and begging and eating, and he went and talked to his ace boy and talking about, we can go talk to him. And what do I want to talk to your friend for? I don't know this guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna humor him, because at this point, Landria, I had no options at this point. At this point, I was like, my apartment was already going. My kids were already enrolled in Sands and Clearwater. I was already moved and settled in, and it was just like, wham, here's another one. And I was so angry, but I don't really lash out. I'm very well composed, even though I was fuming and I wanted to beat his head in. I was just like, look, I need to weigh the pros and cons here, because my girls I'm all they have. So I entertained him, and I went and spoke with his friend and his friend's wife, and his friend was like, I've cheated on my wife. I didn't really give a damn, because I'm like, birds of a
feather flock together.
Hello, hi. So I just quietly listened to him, and he was just like, the man loves you so much. Oh, really? He does? Okay. And he sat there and he bowled and he made promises, and he just, everything was me and the kids, and he was so sorry. No, but and before, let's rewind the clock a minute. I didn't find out about him cheating until I had already given Ian I had already gave up my apartment, and I got a letter in the mail. This is how I found out about him cheating. I got a letter in the mail just around Christmas. I had taken him, I used to work at Tucker's Point, and I had taken him for his birthday to stay at Tucker's Point. And this girl, I'm not going to call her name, so she wrote me a letter. She typed it, but she never signed her name, and she never put her name anywhere on it. And she just said, this is the girl that has been cheating on you with since January. So this was throughout the whole relationship. So it was an ongoing thing that I didn't know about, you know? And then she was just like, I know he told you that him and I haven't been seeing each other, but we have. So apparently when we checked out the hotel on his birthday afterward, he went over her house. So he left the hotel with me. I went to work and he went to her house.
So just for those who is listening, Tarika lives in Bermuda. So the story that she's giving, her testimony, is based in Bermuda. Go ahead, Tarika. That's fine.
So that I found out right before I had to move in, and I was all kinds of worried right now. So I'm like, I can't really go back because I've already given up my apartment. So let's just keep going and see where this goes, you know? So as the relationship progressed, there were things that I started to notice, like, he was very self-absorbed, very, woe is me, I never get a break, everything I have in my life, my family should have left me money because they have money, but my family are so messed up that, you know how most people get money from their families, then, you know, to give me a chance in life to be able to feed my children. And because he has 2 girls, beautiful girls. I love them. They are so beautiful.
Which makes me want to come and ask you, you just mentioned about him, you having the 3 daughters and he had daughters. That's my question. How many children did he have? And how was his children and your children as a blended family?
Oh, he has 2 little girls. And okay. I absolutely love his children.
Oh, awesome.
And I get along with the mothers. I guess
that was my next question. That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with moms. I'm a mom.
Okay.
And children first, regardless of anything that's going on between the adults, the children come first. Yeah. His daughter actually still comes to see me.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Oh, yeah. She is my daughter's best friend. They are always 2 peas in a pod. He has a younger one. I don't see her, not so much. But the girl, that's my girl. Well, she's got me on WhatsApp and we talk all the time. So that's sweetheart.
The question I have for you is, how long was it that you started dating this gentleman after the passing of your husband?
My husband passed in 2016. I dated him 2018.
Okay, so you had a good period. So it was a nice 2-year break in between that. So that okay. So you had time to grieve.
Like now, you need to date because you're still young, and I'm like, I really don't want to. So
well, people know when they're ready, especially after a loss like that. You and your husband had spent 25 years together of your life, so that's all you know. My question I have for you is that how old is he, if you don't mind me asking? Is he in the same age? Without saying the age, please, Tarika. I'm just saying, catch the hint.
Why he lies about his age? He makes himself older.
Really?
He makes himself older than he is?
Uh-huh.
So how many years younger is he than you? How many years?
I thought he was 10 years younger than me, which was kind of cringy for me because I don't really like to date guys that, you know, are significantly younger than me. I've always dated men that were older. Yes. So it turns out he was actually 12 years younger than me.
What?
So my question to you now is, if he and being 12 years, now Tarika, 12 years.
I know.
We have to have a conversation off the record for this 12 years, because you already know how I feel about 12 years younger, how it should have been.
Girl.
But you know how that should have been at 12 years.
This is it. But the thing about it is, listen, Landria.
Yes.
I didn't figure that out till after I had kicked him out. Because I was just like, wait a second. Stuff, you know how things start to fall in your lap after the deed is done. Well, wait a second. This doesn't add up. And that, you know, how, you know, you start to get your clarity back because it was so much going on in the relationship. It was just like, every time I thought we were happy, he would do some dumb shit. Oh, I haven't even gotten to the best part of this shit yet. Like, listen. So it turns out like he's a minibus driver. He loves to drive the minibus by trade. You know, he feels himself to be this public figure. You're a minibus driver, dude. Let it go. Okay. So it's just like he feels that people should leave him stuff. Why somebody can't just call him and give him all this money because what he can do with it. And he's just has this very
it sounds like he has a sense of entitlement.
Yes, and that is it right there. A huge sense of entitlement, and completely lied about his childhood. Talking about he was so poor, not poor, but he was always neglected and deprived. And then afterwards, I spoke to one of his earlier girlfriends, and she was like, "No, he was spoiled. He was extremely spoiled. Anything he got." He is just nasty. He was nasty to his mom. He was nasty to his grandmother. He was just nasty. Like if he didn't get his own way, he would throw temper tantrums and shit. And I'm just like jaws drop. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense. This makes so much more sense than, you know, when he was crying, like, and I do mean crying about how his grandmother or his auntie gave him socks and a Bermuda windbreaker for Christmas. That was all he got. And he really feels that he needs to be able to financially give his children, because that's just how he, like, you know, it makes him feel like a man if he's able to buy his children this, that, and the other. But went out and bought a $700 watch when he had no money to pay the rent. So he would buy the watch but didn't want to pay the rent. So it was just like so much conflicting crap. I thought I was losing my mind.
So then my question to you then is he a narcissist, or could it have just been the fact that he didn't have enough life experience, having been 12 years younger than you?
No, he's a narcissist because his pattern doesn't change.
So then I have another question. So in his prior relationships, I know you said you had you're on good terms with the children's mothers, his children's mothers. Was he living with them as well?
Yep.
Was he the exact same way?
Yes.
So
like when I say a carbon copy, it's just like I know the newest one is going through the exact same thing, but she has money, so I don't know.
But it also, to me, so I have a couple of questions here.
Sure.
So throughout your relationship with him, was there a lot of mental abuse, emotional, physical? Did you recall?
Yeah. Pardon me?
Do you recall him ever being emotionally or mentally, abusive with you, or physically abusive?
Like gaslight. He does a lot of gaslighting. Like, when I lost my job at Dolphin Quest, working at Dolphin Quest, and they made my position redundant. He was like, I don't want you to, because I'm a bartender. I'm a certified bartender. That's
right. Yeah.
And I'm a waitress and manager of, tourism, restaurants and stuff. He didn't want me working in that industry because he feels that I should be home with the girls. So you're limiting me getting a job. So what am I supposed to do? He goes, well, you just take care of the house and the family. I said, nah, we can't do that. We cannot live in Bermuda on a one income, and your income is temporary. It is really seasonal. So come winter time, we're not going to have the funds to be able to make ends meet. So I need to be able to get a job now. And so he was just like, yes, but not in the bars. I don't want you working in the bars. So I'm just like, that makes no sense. I'm good. That's big money for me. That's where I make my cash. That's my bankroll right there.
It sounds like he was more insecure of your environment. He had his own insecurities of you working in that environment, of the possibility of him, one, probably knowing your personality, which
Mhm.
is, you do flirt,
Yeah,
that.
that's how you
And
make. You have
that's
to,
how you make your tips in the bar. You have to flirt and be friendly.
of
So
course.
with that might have been insecurity in his part.
Yeah,
And that's
maybe.
why when it's right, that's what it sounds like to me. But if he's asking all this of you, at what point did he ask you to marry you? And how long into the relationship did he talk about marriage?
Oh, right after he cheated the first time. So yeah,
Did he mean it? Do you think he meant to marry you, or was it just
I don't know. To
that?
be, I haven't really given that much thought.
Mhm.
I think it was probably because he knew that we were shaky. So to solidify our
Right,
union, or
right,
to
right.
use that as a, I honestly don't believe he had any intention of following through. But he did love to make future plans, like what my dress, what he's gonna wear, on our, we're gonna get married on a cruise. We're gonna, we need to start looking for information with regards to where we want to go. And he even asked his youngest daughter's mama to be able to take her, because she's really young, to be able to take her on the cruise, and because he wants his children in the wedding. And so it was all of that future planning. But it got to a point where I was just like, I know he is full of crap. So
Do you think it could have just been his age? Because when you're looking at a 12-year,
he had already been married.
oh, really?
Oh, yeah, he had already
How,
been married.
how long did that marriage last?
I think he was with her for 6 years.
So he knows how a family is ran.
Yeah. And
Mm.
he put her through the ringer. And I mean, almost identical to what he did to me.
So
He was taking trips while his pregnant wife was here with other women. He was going overseas and having relationships with women overseas while his pregnant wife was here in Bermuda. So yeah.
he sounds like it was all about him.
Oh
But
yeah.
so with everything that transpired, what do you think you could have done differently?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Just, how you could go back in time and just walk
Yeah,
right across? Well, there you go. But
yeah.
to be, but to be honest,
Mhm.
if I could go back and change it, what I knew,
Right.
because every experience that I come across shapes me, and I like who I am. I like me very much. I am a big fan of myself, and every relationship and even the painful ones, I'm smart enough to be taught. I have been taught and I have been
Yes,
schooled.
I agree.
So I see things coming and I'm able to avoid it, Life will keep giving you the same lesson until you learn it.
Right. And that's what I was gonna say. Listening to your testimony, your story about him,
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was resonating for me is 12 years young. Okay. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's gonna be a conflict right there as
I
far
was
as my needs and his needs.
I was even sketchy about the 10 years. I was like, ugh, I
Right.
really,
And then for
whew,
12 years, it's like, do we really have anything in common?
this is
What,
it.
what are we
But
gonna talk
the
about?
conclusion, he mirrored my ambition. He mirrored my work ethic. He mirrored everything. And that's what narcissists do. They can definitely mirror you, and you don't see it coming till it's here. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I'm a very energy and vibe person. You don't have to tell me you don't like me. I can feel it, you know?
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
I'm very in tune with energy. And then his words were not matching what he was giving off. It was just like, nah, I can't do this, you know.
Yeah.
So he was already grooming his next relationship while he was still here with me. And I could feel it, you know. Um, a lot of stuff that he was doing didn't ring true. I stopped believing him. And it took a physical toll on my body. Like, I could hardly get up. I could hardly move. It's just like he sucked everything out of this house. Like,
How were your daughters? How did
they they hate him with a passion, and that's a strong word. Because
how were
my
they in the beginning? In the beginning, when you met him, and even when you introduced him to him, how soon into the relationship did your children meet him?
they met, I'm like, look, if you're gonna meet me, you're gonna meet me, you're gonna meet my children, because this is, if they are interested, this is what you're getting. So I ain't got time to be playing games with nobody, you know? So my children and I have had discussions with regards to him. And after the fact, they say they didn't like him because how he was with them when I was around was drastically different to how he was with them when I wasn't around. And see, I didn't know that. Nobody said it, but they just like, we wanted you to be happy so bad, mama, that we were just like, okay, well, now let's tolerate this guy because my mom is so happy. But they also saw that happiness fade really quickly around the 2nd year mark. And it
So
was,
at what point so in hearing that with your children, and then I'm telling you that, how did you feel?
well, I just felt that it was a need to have a more open dialogue with them with regards to for future references, because you can't go back and change the past. No,
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was gonna say that.
Definitely had long discussions, and they opened up a lot about, some of the things that they didn't like about him, and they didn't trust him, and they didn't feel safe with him around. Now that was telling for me, because I have old girls, and I need for my girls to feel safe in my home. And if they don't feel safe, then something's very broken there. So that's why here on out, I'm just like, I don't think I want anybody else in my life right now, not on a permanent living basis. I mean, you know what I mean.
Right. So that's what brings me to my next question. Question I have for you now is, with that experience, what have you learned as far as when it comes to your children or even dating? Will you still have the same view of, when you date me, this is what you get, my children as well? Or will you take your time before you introduce them to your children?
Well,
having girls.
Considering that my children are not really children per se, if you, and my daughter's 18, my youngest is 13, so she's still pretty much a child. And I'm just to the point now where I don't want to make that investment, considering how old we are, or like, I don't really feel that ill, but where I am in my life right now, I'm good right now. I date, kind of, sort of, but right. I'm just really content in my own space. I really am.
And you know what's very common that I've been hearing a lot of is that a lot of women now, not that they've given up on relationships, but they're at a point where they've been through so much bullshit, and lies and trauma and nonsense, that they're actually coming to a place of peace of, you know what, if I don't find a man, or if I'm not married or not in a relationship, I'm okay.
Yeah, and that's exactly,
be okay than to be involved in a situation that they're unhappy.
Yeah.
And I feel that's power within itself.
Absolutely. You take responsibility for yours. You know what I mean?
Correct.
Make sure that you take responsibility for your heart, for your own happiness, because looking for happiness outside yourself is a recipe for disaster in and of itself. But I have a companion, but I'm not in any race to move in or do anything other than just have a companion. I don't date boys no more because I don't date boys.
So that would be my next question. What now having experienced this relationship with this particular gentleman, and having been 12 years younger than you, moving forward, how young will you go? What would the age difference be?
I'm not dating than me, no.
Okay.
Refuse, flat out refuse. Nope. There's an age requirement to ride this ride, buddy. Sorry.
And that requirement is either your age and above?
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I'm also very attracted to smart men. So if we can't have an intellectual conversation, it's not happening.
See, this is why I love you, because you know how I feel about that. I have a major issue of dating someone that I feel that I know more than you.
Exactly.
I have to date someone that I can learn something from. I need you to make me feel like, oh my God, he is so smart, he's brilliant, where I can learn something from you. Now, I don't mean learn something from you where you have me feeling like I'm inferior or I'm dumb. In
Yeah.
layman terms, no, I'm talking about
Here.
when we have a conversation,
Uh-huh.
I can give you my input and you can actually give me your input where you know what I'm talking about. And we can
Yeah.
actually bounce ideas off each other. And
Absolutely.
we can have those decent conversations. I love a good conversation.
Girl,
I love a good conversation. I feel for me, that
yeah,
stimulates me, not just mentally, below
yeah,
two. It's a complete turn on for me. A
yeah.
great conversation.
It's for me, with my companion that I'm seeing now. He is so, I learn something new every single time we have a conversation. And we've been on the phone and we've talked for like 6 hours. No joke.
I
It
love
was it
mhm.
was 6 hours of like a pure college course. Like
Love.
we were exchanging ideas on political stuff, on I mean the range of the conversation went from political to anthropology to building businesses to, I was talking to him about website. I love a website and I'm a tech
Yes.
person.
Yes.
So to building websites, to creating logos. I mean, like the conversation was such a turn on. Like, you know what? One orgasm and I'm good. A good night's sleep. Good night's sleep, man.
Oh,
Right there.
gosh. But I'm right there with you. I get it. I get it. I get it. Dating is hard. I mean, you're fully aware. I've
Yeah.
already came from two very awful, very bad relationships.
Right.
And since then, like you said, there are lessons to be learned in every relationship, good and bad. There are lessons to be learned.
Definitely.
So moving forward for myself in my quest to find Mr. Right or a companion, I found myself having very low tolerance for the nonsense. And maybe it's this new era
Yeah.
of how people date.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't do nothing for me. Like for
Nope.
me, one of my pet peeves, if you want to turn me off, keep texting me emojis and what WY is. I had a guy at one point just speaking on like the younger gentlemen. You know, every morning I got the letters GM, GM, GN, GA, and then it was WYA, WYD. Uh, Here's a good one. So this guy, the particular
He was
gentleman,
talking to you in I am.
right, but this particular gentleman had asked me on a date one time. And this
Right.
is a true story. So I met him, very attractive, smelled good, tall, had so many check boxes. So we exchanged numbers. He invited me out to dinner. During the text, the dinner invite was WID, fork, plate, knife at 9:30, thumbs up, right?
No.
And when I first read it, I said, what the hell is this? And granted, I do a little taxing here and there and whatnot, but I'm not really up on the hill emoji games. I know the basic emojis,
I'm baffled.
smiley face, all those easy ones. I know that. But to actually send a text like that about dinner, for a moment there, I was like, what the hell is all of this? I remember having to Google it to find out what certain things
Girl,
mean.
shut up.
Girl,
Because
you showing your age now, Len, talking about.
I'm no, but I'm serious because
You have
some
to
of the
Google it.
emojis, no, some of the emojis I don't
Mhm.
use. Like I don't use all the emojis. So my emoji savvy
Oh,
game and whatnot, I'm not
either.
there.
I
Mhm,
don't.
mhm.
I don't use them. So I'm looking at it. Whereas if this is our first date, please, hey, are you busy later? Spell it out.
Right.
Let's go to get a quick bite to eat. We can talk some more. It was a pleasure meeting you today. Boom, there you go. That right there alone, it's like brownie points. They're
Yeah.
brownie points.
Yeah.
And then when you show up a couple of minutes earlier than the time you say you're going to be there, there's a brownie points.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely.
when you pick the restaurant or say, hey, do you want to meet me there or I'll meet you there? There's a brownie points. That's what that is. But I find nowadays for me the struggle is one, my brain capacity cannot really keep up because my mind is always either on my businesses,
Mm-hmm.
my job, my family, vacations, what's the next move, what project needs to be done. You even with the podcast here, Chris and I do a lot of things. So when you want to enter into my life, I don't have time now to add on to the little extra emojis and whatnot, especially when I know I'm busy.
Right.
All I'm going to do is zone you out. I have blocked you out. I don't have time for that. So I totally get it. The dating game nowadays is, I would say for me, is trying.
Right.
It's a little trying. Not sharing my age now, Crystal. I'm just saying. But it's a little trying. So I get it, I totally get it. And with your experience with him, I want to say, I commend you for sticking in as long as you did. I understand why you did, because you had uprooted your family, you had moved to Somerset, which for those who don't know, in Bermuda, you have your eastern end, your central end, and your western end. So Tarika had moved from the eastern end to the opposite end, which is the western end, which is Somerset. So for you to uproot your family of 25 years being nestled in one place, in one home, to another, on what you thought was going to be a second phase of your life.
And it just went left. Like when I've never been hit before. So then I confronted him about the 9 different women that he was sleeping with. And then he turned on me and he hit me. I was taken aback. Like, you cheated and you hit me. Why are you? So that was confusing for me, because I'm like, what are you hitting me for? I didn't do anything.
And you didn't come from that. You didn't come from that relationship.
Then I did my research, I understood what had happened, because like I said, this was new. This was definitely virgin territory for me, because I had never been through anything like this before. And between me trying to build him up and give him, and I'm a positive person. I always see the good. The sun, there's always a silver lining. There's always something to be positive from and to be happy about. And this male was like a walking disaster. Everything that wrong, that could go wrong. Like, for instance, let me give you one example. So his car was in the shop, and we were using the bike as major transportation. So of course the bike is starting to be wear and tear. So he wanted to be able to put his bike in the shop and get his car out, but he was worried that, as you know, and rightfully so, if the bike was going to make it. Do you know he was able to put his bike in his shop and get his car out, and he still was complaining about it? Well, this could have happened and that. Yeah, but it didn't. Yes, but it could have, and was upset. So I'm just like, are you, and I literally verbalized it, are you ever happy about anything that goes right in your life? And then he looked at me and cut his eyes and laughed. So I was just like, oh, okay.
So you mentioned just now how when he slapped you, was that the first time he ever put his hands on you while you was in that relationship?
Yeah, it was. That was the first.
How did you react?
Shocked.
Yeah.
And not just his children were here, and my children were here, and they were in the opposite end of the house, because we moved into a bigger place. And yeah, he put his hands around my throat and threw me on the ground. I have never experienced that before. For God's sake, I'm a goddess. Like, who does that? Like, who hits people? Like, I don't hit.
Surprise. Yeah.
Who does that? So I was really taken aback by that. And I was, of course, I called the police, and
that was going to be my next question. When he was physical with you, did you call the police on him after that?
Oh, absolutely. I don't play that. I am way too cute to be beaten up. You crazy? You see this face? This is my moneymaker.
Oh,
look.
That's right.
No, had bruises around my neck. He's marked up my face. My landlord patched me up and stuff. So I was like, nah, look, I can't.
So the big question after that is after that happened, did you leave him?
Oh, no, I didn't.
Why not?
Because I still held out hope, because I felt sorry for him. he started with, again, with the crying and the whole, I'm so sorry, I never meant to hurt you. Can we start again? And I do mean from scratch, like from the very beginning. I'll sleep in the front room. I don't want to, and we can work on this, and we can work on the promises. And I know I'm a sucker for tears. Well, I used to be.
Yeah.
Tears mean
Yeah.
nothing now. So
when you called the police, what happened? Did they arrest them? Did they take them to the station?
No, I didn't press charges. I wanted to file.
Mm-hmm.
So if it happened again, it definitely would have been, and they would have a record.
Right. That's a smart move. Mm-hmm.
Officer, and he was like, do you want to, he asked the same questions that you did. Do you want to press charges, or do you want to make it on, they put it on file in, I guess they're used to dealing with these types of cases. So they give you the option of whether you want to do.
Right. Because you can file it for information purposes, where that kind of starts like a paper trail of the onset of the abuse. So if it continues to happen, they would know, okay, you've called before. It also, I look at it as a safety for the victim.
Yeah, most definitely.
Sometimes, most times, majority of the times, victims don't disclose what's really going on in their household. They make excuses.
Right.
So there have been cases, many cases, where women either defend themselves, and then in the course of them defending themselves, they stop their abuser, they kill their abuser, and then they're on trial. They're on trial for murder, manslaughter, and by the time they have to try to prove their innocence, where they've been assaulted or victimized for years,
right,
it goes against them. So I think that to some degree needs to change. I feel that there have to be better measures put in place to safeguard all victims with no judgment.
Right.
Judgment is what prevents people from talking and being honest.
Right.
And keep from feeling trapped. But I'm glad that you did call the police.
Oh, yeah.
So even after that incident with the police, and you called, you got back together, were there any incidents after that?
No, there wasn't.
Do you think that's what stopped him, where he was exposed?
Because I've heard the stories of the things he used to do to his ex-wife. So I it's just amazing what comes out after the fact, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you see more clearly when you're away from the person. When you're with the person,
you don't speak
you don't speak. You're scared. You know that there's going to be repercussions afterwards. You know that as soon as the police leave, there's going to be another argument. You think of who's going to be there to protect you, to save you. And in your case, you have 3 daughters and a son, so that's even more alarming, as far as you don't want your children to see you being victimized either.
Exactly. And that's it. I'm not nobody's victim. I really am not.
Yeah.
And I refuse to let my children see that either. I am not a victim of anybody. So
and I agree, and it takes a lot for a woman to, especially a woman that's being victimized, to speak her truth, to know that she'll be safe. I commend this month here for me is mental health and awareness. But for us, for Crystal and I, we want to bring awareness to, domestic abuse, where we hear so many stories about either celebrities, there's a situation going on, or artists. But let's talk about the average person that goes to work to a 9 to 5, that they're at work and they come home and it's a nightmare. They don't know when to come home. How many lives have been lost due to it,
Exactly.
And then what happens is you're a victim for so long, nothing else, you just become numb. I find that if people talk more, there's a safe haven or measures put in place to safeguard victims, where they don't feel judged, they don't feel blamed, they don't feel ashamed. It can help. It can definitely help, and maybe slowly process down of all this domestic violence. And even the narcissists, I feel that if the narcissists are exposed for who they really are, and bring attention to how they are and who they are, then it may not stop them, but now the world knows this is who you are. This is what they're capable of, because the victims are quiet for so long, even after they break up from their abusive partner or their narcissistic relationship. They're so quiet, it's like holding their secrets. And then you internally have to hold on to what happened to you, which is unfair. Everyone deserves to be loved. I believe that. I believe everyone deserves to be treated with respect.
Yeah.
And I feel that if people are in relationships and either one is not happy, be honest. Just try it. Just try
This,
being honest. Leave.
yeah.
It's as simple as that. Leave. You know, I mean, I know it's simple to say that, and I know there's a lot of other contributing factors to that, but you know, it would lessen the amount of violence that goes on, especially with this pandemic going on. I'm sure there's a lot people being home all the time, people being in the stay home orders and whatnot.
I did like this, Lenny. Listen. So February 4th was the day I threw him out. We went on lockdown in March.
Yeah.
I dodged a bullet. I dodged a bullet, man.
See,
Can you
exactly.
imagine being locked in this house with that man? He would have been pushing up roses. I'm very sorry. I don't know.
It would
Yeah.
have been worse. It would have been, you would have been in an environment where you both can't live. The
Yeah.
pandemic hit, he's looking at you, you're looking at him, the kids are in the house. Somebody's gonna explode sooner or later.
Somebody gonna die.
Yeah, something's gonna happen, you know. So I truly believe everything happens for a reason, and
So
certain
do
things are
I.
meant to happen. I do believe that.
It was,
Even
and it was funny
you believe that.
because
Mhm.
I was definitely at my wit's end, and I really wanted him out of here. So then he called and said, I'm not comfortable in this relationship anymore. I said, this relationship's over. He says, yes, but I'm gonna stay in the house until I find
You're
an
not.
apartment. I said, no, you're not. I said, your stuff will be outside waiting for you, bruh. Deuces. When I say everything that he earned was packed in 30 minutes and on my front lawn, girl, out the door.
Look at it where you dodged a bullet. You know,
Girl,
I look at it where you dodged a bullet in every relationship.
yeah.
For me, I take away from every
But
relationship
you
lesson.
know that
Good or
even though
bad.
he was gone, I still went through physical changes where I had to look up to figure out what was going on, because it didn't feel like a normal breakup. My mental and physical was different. Like I've had breakups before, you know, so why was I feeling like that? And that's when I discovered Dr. Romney. And she talked to me when I was looking at reading her stuff and going through all her YouTube channel saved my life. I'm not even joking, because she described every symptom that I was going through, everything that was in my head. I became obsessed with this woman. I swear for about 6 weeks, I watched and read everything that she has ever printed about narcissistic abuse, about about word salad, and I would actually remunerate about different conversations that him and I have had where he's actually done that to me, where he gaslighted me, where he all the different types of abuse that he was doing. And I was just like, this is a thing. I'm not crazy. I'm not losing my mind, because you know, I'm actually going through the different withdrawals and stuff, because this is real. So if anybody like feels like they're losing it, they're not. You're not alone. You're not alone. And I would encourage you
Yes, and you're
to
absolutely right.
definitely do research.
Right. And that's the reason for our platform. It's just so that people can share their experiences. You know, I really feel that being vocal and sharing your experiences and heal is a form of healing.
And I applaud you for your platform.
You can say it.
Your platform to do this, because from the moment I figured out, or this moment I discovered what narcissism is, do you know, I wanted to scream it from the rooftops, like, ladies, you are not crazy. You are not. But narcissism is not just a male trait.
It's not.
We
It's
have
not.
female narcissists. Like a friend of mine is going through a divorce, and then he told me about the things that I was like, she's a narcissist, bro. And he goes, a what? And I nicely put him on to Dr. Romney, and we've talked it through. And he was just like, oh my God, I could not. And he was married to this woman for 25 years. I can't imagine. I can't even fathom.
Right. See, for myself, when I went through both of my situations, they were back to back. One was for like 2.5 years, and the other one I actually married one. But during those times when I went through my situations, there was nobody talking about what a narcissist is.
Absolutely.
Narcissism. It was I never heard of it. Maybe it was, but I don't think it was diagnosed at that time. It's only been recently, over the last few years,
Yeah.
now is being spoken about more. And Dr. Romney, I do know her. She actually has two books. As a matter of fact, two of her books are in my library. And I have them right here. One is Should I Stay? Should I Go? Surviving a Relationship with a Narcissist. That's by Dr. Romani. And the second one is Don't You Know Who I Am?
Oh my God.
And then this one is How to Stay Safe.
And he said that?
Yes, it says How to Stay Sane in an Era of Narcissism, Entitlement. It's her second book. And to anyone, I feel that one may not know what a narcissist is, because again, it's like a new word that's been only recently been sharing over the last few years. I want to say, if you have the time, look up Dr. Ramani, Ramani, and her last name is Durvasula. She has two books, and you can get them on Amazon. But if you don't know what a narcissist is, or you find yourself in a relationship where the person's always making you feel like everything's your fault when you know it's not your fault, you're not the problem, read her books. It would definitely give you insight.
Also, just to let the public know, Dr. Romney also has a YouTube channel that is brilliant. She breaks down what gray rocking is, what word salad is, what flying monkeys is, what no contact is. She also breaks down the different types of narcissists. And narcissists can be your parents, it can be your co-workers, it could be your children, it could be anybody in your life that you're just kind of like struggling to have a relationship with. And she also has a plethora of tools that you can use at your own disposal. For me, it was extremely easy because I don't have no children with this man. I don't have to ever see him or talk to him again. It was block, delete, and spam. He would need to send up fire signals, and then I would do a rain dance. Because listen, there's no way I will ever speak to him again.
And I was going to ask you that. Have you ran into him ever since the breakup?
No. God is good. The universe loves me.
And with it being so small? Okay.
No, not a, and he stays in Somerset too.
Oh, wow.
Yes, the universe loves me. I am blessed and highly favored. I don't know that guy.
We are so appreciative of you allowing us to share your testimony. I love you and adore you.
Oh, I love you too, sweetie.
And I love our chit chats and our raw conversations all the time. We get each other.
Oh, we definitely, you are definitely, the mic to my Ike. I tell you that.
We get each other. And I do. And I really appreciate it. I'm so proud of you. And I say that to all my guests, how proud I am to, for me, I love hearing stories of not just the stories being negative, but I feel proud of the solutions that come out the end.
Definitely.
And the solution and the awareness that you have now, it can only get better from here. And that's what I absolutely love. So I'm really grateful for the podcast. And every time I have these conversations, I always tear up a bit because it feels so special. More so because I love you and I know your journey, and I can feel what you went through.
Yeah.
I tell you, thank you so much.
Oh, you are so welcome.
For allowing us to share your story, your testimony. It was amazing. It was great talking to you. Yes, and thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Man, that was a very good and interesting story. I mean, I enjoyed listening. I feel like I learned something new. Every time I hear, somebody speak or tell me a story, I feel like I learned something I didn't even know existed or didn't even realize was happening.
No, I agree. I mean, for me, the fact that he was 12 years younger, I think that also played a lot into his behavior. Is immaturity there, is a lack of experience. You're talking about, a mature woman with 4 children that has lots of experience behind her. And then, she's dating and engaged to, I don't want to call him a boy, but this younger man. 12 years is, 12 years, me personally, I wouldn't date 12 years younger. I wouldn't think we have anything in common personally. And the behavior that she was describing, it seemed like he just felt like he had a sense of entitlement. Like he felt like the world owed him something or she owed him something. And, if it's true from him acting like that in past relationships, I don't know. He needs to grow up, in my opinion. He needs to grow up, step into a real man's shoes. That's what he needs to
Mm-hmm.
do. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Older women's out of his league. He needs to just step it down and start dating, closer to his age.
Yeah, I think he had to learn a thing or two. I think you said the right words. Like he just was inexperienced.
Yeah.
He just didn't have any experience to deal with, you know what I'm saying? Didn't know how to handle it.
Exactly. And then I give
Mm-hmm.
her a lot of credit for giving him chance after chance after chance after chance. And again,
Man.
that goes back to, that feeling. I mean, she had mentioned how,
Mm-hmm.
she did not hear someone say to her or a man say to her when she was married for at least 5 years that I love you. So I know that might have been, a common factor in his part of him saying I love you. Like that's a wow factor. Like, oh wow, this
Yep.
young guy loves me, especially
Mm-hmm.
after having grieved. I know that was a feeling of comfort or, wow, I'm still wanted. So I can definitely see how she was attracted to him and how she dated him. I
Yep.
definitely could see how she fell for
100%.
him. Yeah, I definitely see it. But he has a lot of growing up to do. Bottom line, he has a lot of growing up to do. I wish him much success in his future relationships or the relationship is in now. I hope he did learn from his actions. And yeah, he has to grow up. This thing of entitlement, nobody, you're not entitled. You have to earn it. You have to earn it. Welcome to the
Bottom
real world
line.
of an adult. Be an adult and you have to earn it. You either earn
Bottom
your,
line.
yeah,
No matter how old you are. Okay.
exactly. But yeah, it was, a lot of these stories that I hear, um, a lot of it resonates with me. I know exactly how she felt as far
Mm-hmm.
as, you given the chance, you just try to find the good in the individual. You believe they can change, but
Mm-hmm.
80% of the time they don't change. And you waste a lot of time just waiting for something that's not going to happen. But otherwise than that, I have to say, I'm glad she got out. I'm glad she called the police. She was thinking smart. So I'm glad that she did that. She had the foresight to see, let me just call the police and make a report for that, just in case. So that
Yeah.
part there was very mature of her to do that, to make that decision. So
Right, right. I
yeah,
agree. Which is the most important decision is, put
exactly.
yourself first, safety first.
And I'm glad she also identified with every relationship there's a takeaway, it's a learning lesson. And
Mm-hmm.
the biggest learning lesson I know she did take away from it, and I'm hoping she did, was really talk to your children to see how they feel about the person you're with. Because children sometimes will actually put their feelings aside if they want to see their parent happy. So that conversation, and I'm glad she did have extensive conversations with them. Whereas moving forward, she knows moving forward, if her children, don't like the individual, don't even go there. Don't waste your time. That's a red flag.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that concludes episode 3, everybody. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. We greatly appreciate it. We have a lot of great content and events coming soon. So, guys, check out our website. Stay locked in with that. Check us out on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, comment on our YouTube page. And don't forget, we're in all Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, and Amazon Podcast websites. Check us out, and we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Bye.